So now that the 2025 NFL Draft Combine is over, I felt like it would be another perfect time to do an updated mock draft because I feel like so much has changed either in the mock draft world, the big board world, or just some guys rising or falling throughout the Combine last weekend. There's going to be new guys in the top 10, new guys in the first round, and guys that I've mocked in the first round throughout the last couple of weeks aren't going to be here anymore. And we are here using the PFF Mock Draft Simulator. And I also have a trade to make as well. We are going to have the Tennessee Titans trade away the #1 overall pick with the New York Giants. There has been a ton of steam about this rumor. The Giants are no longer getting Matthew Stafford for next year's season. There is going to be some rumors that Aaron Rodgers could just switch teams in New York at MetLife Stadium, go from the Jets to the Giants, but the Giants can still look to get Cam Ward at #1 and have him learn behind Aaron Rodgers, because it's looking like the Browns, if Abdul Carter goes #1, they would be taking Cam Ward at 2. And the Giants, I'm sure they see the talent gap between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, and they're trying to get Cam Ward with the #1 overall pick. I'm not really sure what the Giants would have to give up to the fullest extent. We are going to have the Titans drop down to 3. I'm sure the Giants would also have to give up their 2026 first rounder, or at least pick 34 and maybe next year's second. So you know what? We're just going to do that. Let me know, does the first round pick have to be in this trade? I don't think the Giants have like a DJ Moore caliber player. Are the Titans interested in Kayvon Thibodeau? Either way, the assets of the steal are pretty irrelevant, as now the Giants are going to have the #1 overall pick, and I kind of spoiled it right there. They're going to get Cam Ward, who did not throw at the Combine. Him and Shedeur Sanders didn't throw, but I still believe that Cam Ward would be the #1 overall pick today, either to the Titans or to the Giants, who end up trading up. I just would be shocked if the Tennessee Titans, who need a quarterback, end up taking Abdul Carter, but I wouldn't, I guess, be totally shocked, because there has been a lot of rumors to that as of late. A lot of this is just going to depend over the next few weeks, what happens in free agency. Where does Sam Darnold go? Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins. So many quarterbacks can change teams over the next few weeks, and we'll see if the Titans look to add one in free agency or they end up drafting one. But either way, Cam Ward with the #1 overall pick, you're going to the Giants. And maybe there's a scenario where the Titans really love Shedeur Sanders as well, and maybe they think it's kind of like a 1A, 1B situation, and you can maybe get some additional assets like a second round pick, maybe, who knows, a future first, and you can still get Shedeur at 3. But I don't think Shedeur would go #2. I feel like it's just only Cam Ward that would go there in the top 3 quarterback wise from what we learning right now. So I think it comes down to Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter there at #2. And I do think Abdul Carter would end up going #2 to the Browns. Maybe the Jets or the Raiders or even the Saints would try trading up with Cleveland to look to get Shedeur Sanders, but I can't see that happening. I don't think Shedeur has that pedigree or is looked at as good of a prospect to go that high. So I'm going to have them select Abdul Carter #2 overall. If you're the Titans, you have to be okay with losing out on Abdul Carter if you do move down to #3, because I do expect him to go #2. He's dealing with an injury right now, also wasn't at the Combine, but is supposed to still test out at a pro day going up to the draft. And if they keep Myles Garrett, hey, you can have Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett. That would be very electric. But if you decide to trade away Myles Garrett, you can have a cornerstone edge rusher there on your defensive line. So next up at #3, we have the Tennessee Titans. I think this has to be Travis Hunter, who still wants to play both sides of the field at the NFL level. It will be insanely tough to play 100% of the snaps. It's just a lot on your body. And hey, that could be amazing because you're paying just a rookie contract for a starting corner and a starting receiver. Like, that's amazing team building wise, but what happens if he goes down? Then you're losing a starting corner and a starting receiver. There's a lot of risk, but there could be a lot of reward in allowing Travis Hunter to play both sides of the field. He compared it and actually said it was more difficult than what Shohei Ohtani is doing over in the MLB. I mean, that's a different discussion for a different day, but I think this is how the top 3 is going to go. At least these 3 players, Ward, Carter, and Hunter. I don't expect any other players to jump up there in the top 3. I don't think it's going to be Ashton Jeanty or Mason Graham or any of the offensive linemen. In some way, shape, or form, it's going to be Cam, Abdul, and Travis Hunter at the top 3. It's just, are we going to see a trade? Are we going to see Tennessee pass on Cam Ward? And will he be a Cleveland Brown or a New York Giant? That we're going to kind of figure that out throughout the next few weeks with trades and free agency. So this is where I think the draft starts. I think every year you kind of have your top 3. Like last year, it was Caleb, Jaden, and Drake May. And then the draft kind of started at 4, but maybe we all assumed it was going to be Marv. Here, I think, is where the draft starts. And this is where the New England Patriots can go a bunch of different directions, because Ted McMillan, you know, is still like a freak of an athlete and could be in play here at #4. Mason Graham, people didn't love his Combine showing, but I still think could also be in play there at 4. No to Ashton Jeanty. Will Campbell is a wild card because I think he should still go in the top 10, but people are worried that he's going to have to be moved to guard because of his arm length. And then do you want to draft a guard with the 4th overall pick? Probably not. And I just don't know, like, if they would take Tyler Warren this high. Probably not. Jamar Stewart, kind of high for that as well. So yeah, I think it really comes down between Will Campbell and Ted McMillan here at number 4. And I still think it is going to be Will Campbell because you know what? You can still play him out there at tackle. The Patriots have just one of the worst offensive line units in the NFL. And unless you're either trading down or taking Armin Membu here, who also got a ton of hype from the combine and is looking like a top 10 pick in this draft, I just think you have to take either Membu or Will Campbell there at 4. And I still think Will Campbell, who's like a freak of an athlete like Membu, they're both insanely fast for an offensive lineman. I still think Campbell's a little bit more safe. It's just there is the risk that he has to get bumped to guard. But hey, if he's the best offensive guard in the league, who cares at the end of the day? Or is an elite offensive guard? I know it's kind of high at 4 to take an interior offensive lineman that high, but we just have to improve this offensive line either way. So like I said, you either trade down or you just take an offensive lineman there at 4. The wide receivers will come and go. It's a little bit, I mean, I think there is a chance that you could get Emeka Egbuka in round number 2 now. Or maybe you really like Jaden Higgins, who had a nice combine out of Iowa State, or Jalen Noel, just the Iowa State guys. So you could look to take one of those guys on day 2. They're apparently going after Chris Godwin in free agency if the medicals check out. And hey, if they get Godwin, then they definitely don't need Ted McMillan. So for me at 5 here, I think Ted McMillan would also be very interesting for Jacksonville. Go back-to-back years drafting a receiver with the number 1 overall pick. I think Will Campbell could also have been play here if Ted went 4, but I'm still going to have Mason Graham. I know people want to bump down Mason Graham in their mocks after the combine, but he is the best defensive interior player in this draft. He's the second best non-corner defensive player in this draft after Abdul Carter, and he was just a monster this past year at Michigan. I know he's going to weigh a little bit less than what he did at Michigan, but I think it's just, we're going to make this Jacksonville Jaguars defensive line incredible. Trayvon Walker, Joshua Hines-Allen, and Mason Graham. Now that's something they're building in the trenches and trying to build up that front 7 to like it was back in the late 2010s. So yeah, we're going to get Mason Graham there at number 5. I don't think anything has changed for me there. I don't think Travis Hunter makes it to 5. And I think after the combine, I don't think they spend the 5th overall pick on a Will Johnson. So here we go. This is interesting. This is what I was going back and forth on. Do the Raiders take Shedeur Sanders at 6? Because I think Shedeur either goes 6, 7, or 9 now. I think he's going to be a Raider, Jet, or Saint. And I'm going back and forth between who I like here because I kind of like Ashton Jeanty here, number 6. But I also like Shedeur Sanders here. This is one, like Raiders fans, let me know in the comments if this is how the draft fell with Cam, Abdul, Travis, Campbell, and Graham, the first 5 picks. Who would you take at number 6? I go back and forth between Shedeur Sanders and Ashton Jeanty, and I think the Raiders are going to end up with a veteran quarterback in free agency. I don't think they end up with Sam Darnold, but hey, maybe they still draft one, kind of like what the Falcons did last year. Maybe they end up with an Aaron Rodgers, or maybe they end up with a Kirk Cousins or a Russell Wilson, and they look to develop Shedeur Sanders, running behind a good veteran quarterback. Tom Brady, Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly could be good for Shedeur Sanders' development. Maybe they end up really liking Jackson Dart on day 2. But I think here is where Shedeur Sanders can go. I don't know. There's maybe a chance where Shedeur doesn't go as high as we think. Because if he doesn't go in the top 10, I don't think Indianapolis is going to draft him there at 14. And then who's drafting him again? Does he make it to 18? But Seattle needs to adjust the offensive line. Would the Steelers take him at 21? I mean, I'm sure if he fell to 21, you would never know. Maybe a team would end up trading back up from the 2nd round. Like maybe Tennessee would find some value, or Cleveland would find some value, maybe leapfrogging Pittsburgh to take Shedeur in the 1st round. But I'm going to have Shedeur go here. I am going to have him go to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think it would be just a little bit more wise to go after Shedeur than Ashton Jeanty. But I wouldn't mind kickstarting this new era, this new coaching staff, with one of the best running back prospects we have seen in quite some time, and a blue chipping prospect as well in this draft. So with that happening at number 6, the Jets are on the clock here at number 7. They don't end up with Shedeur. I love the idea of going after Jackson Dart on day number 2. A lot of people did like Tyler Shaw out of Louisville could be a potential pick as well. But for the Jets here at 7, I'm going to go with the best tight end in this draft class. Davante Adams is most likely not going to be on this team next year. I still want to keep Garrett Wilson for this team going forward. I don't think they should trade Garrett Wilson this offseason. And whoever their next quarterback is going to be, if it's Tyrod Taylor in week 1, maybe it's Justin Fields, maybe they make a trade, or maybe it's a veteran. Either way, I want Tyler Warren and Garrett Wilson to be the wide receiving weapons for this team long term. You're getting the best tight end prospect in this class, a super safe prospect there in the top 10, and I really like that fit for the Jets at number 7. I always was kind of mocking like Will Johnson, maybe Ted McMillan, who's still on the board, could potentially go there at number 7, but I think the combine is going to bump down Ted, and I believe like Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network also had Ted McMillan not even going in like the top 15, and we can get into the Luther Burden talk and the Matthew Golden talk, because there is a chance Matthew Golden could be the first receiver off the board. It was kind of like similar to when Henry Ruggs was the first receiver off the board back in that loaded draft class with Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and Jerry Jeudy. But I think here at number 8, Carolina could go after receiver. And with Ted McMillan there, they may see an opportunity, but maybe they also think they can get one in round 2. Free agency is going to change so much of how we think about this. I mean, it was a big combine for some corners. Jahdae Barron maybe emerged as the best corner in the draft. Maxwell Hairston, Darren Porter also had phenomenal combines as well. But we are going to mock somebody that had maybe the best combine, Shemar Stewart out of Texas A&M. There's been a lot of hype about Shemar Stewart now going in the first round. Carolina is looking to add to that defensive line. The production wasn't there for Stewart at A&M last year, only having 1.5 sacks for the Aggies. But man, does he stand out on film. He was a monster, tested out like as a freak athlete at the combine. And I think there's going to be, some leading up to the draft hype about Shemar Stewart going there in the top 10. I think he can go in the top 10. I mean, a lot of people are liking Jahad Campbell right now to potentially go around that range, or James Pierce, who had a positive combine as well. So we're on the clock here for the Saints at number 9. I have mocked offensive line to them a ton. Like, they're not getting, I think, Colston Loveland here. I think that's a little bit of a reach. I don't think I would take Kenneth Grant here. Maybe if they are going to move on from Cameron Jordan this offseason, they could look at a potential edge rusher if they like the idea of James Pierce, or maybe getting Jahad Campbell. But I'm actually going to have them go Ted McMillan. A little bit of a surprise here, but for a team that has Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, you can look to get another weapon for Derek Carr next year. And I think Shaheed is more of like a deep threat slot guy, somebody that doesn't need to get 8-9 targets a game. Chris Olave does have the injury concerns with the concussions, so that is a big red flag and a big wild card for your wide receiver room for the next 5 years. But I think getting Ted McMillan, and you hope Olave can be fully healthy, that could be a great wide receiver duo for the next quarterback. Or maybe it is going to be Derek Carr in New Orleans, and maybe Kellen Moore can turn this team around. So at number 10, I've definitely thought about Ashton Jeanty here to the Chicago Bears. I love the idea with him and Ben Johnson. I just don't think it would happen right now. An offensive line could be in play as well. I mean, there's Armand Membu, who I think is going to be the next offensive lineman off the board after Will Campbell, but I am going to have them address edge rusher here, and I'm going to have them select James Pierce out of Tennessee. I still like James Pierce to go in the top half of the NFL draft. I think people think he's going to be like maybe a bottom 10 pick in the first round. I think either way, he's going in the first, and I'm taking the chance on Pierce over Michael Williams or Mike Green. Michael Williams is a big wild card for me in this draft. I mean, Donovan Ezeraku killed it at the combine, but I think we're going to have James Pierce here go in the top 10. Just feels like a Ryan Poles guy, just to make that defensive line even better with Montez Sweat. Here at 11, this is an easy pick for me. We got Armand Membu going to the San Francisco 49ers. Protect Brock Purdy. Give Christian McCaffrey another elite offensive lineman prospect going forward. Trent Williams is getting up there in age. That is a no-brainer for me. So that leads the Dallas Cowboys on the clock at number 12. Do I have them select what a lot of people would predict, Ashton Jeanty here at number 12? Because if he doesn't go at number 12, he's not going 13, he's not going 14, there is a chance Ashton Jeanty could fall all the way to number 20 to the Denver Broncos. I also like corner, that idea for them as well in this, just because Trayvon Diggs could end up getting cut. You don't know about Deron Bland's future for this team. I think this is an interesting spot for Will Johnson. Jahdae Barron had a great combine. You can also keep him in the state of Texas. I'm going to have Will Johnson fall to pick 12, which I think is lower in some terms. I've seen some mocks, him going number 21 to the Steelers. As a Steelers fan, I would love that, but I think that is a pipe dream that he would fall that far in this draft. And we're going to have him go to the Dallas Cowboys here at number 12. They pass on Ashton Jeanty, and I think they should. I think they should not look to take a running back at number 12. It's a deep running back class, and I think you can draft one on day 2 or day 3. Either it's Judkins, Sampson, Trayvon Henderson, Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey, who had a very good combine, and pair him up with Rico Dowdle, and you would be fine going forward. You need to address defense. You need to address offensive line. And if Armand Membu was on the board at 12, I would take him 100% if I were the Cowboys. So we're on the clock here at 13 for the Miami Dolphins. I don't think they should overthink this. I still think Malachi Starks should go ahead of Nick Emenwari, who was a standout at the combine. He had one of the best performances over the weekend, but I think we just don't need to Brian Branch 2.0 this. We should not overthink drafting Malachi Starks in the first half of the first round, and I think he could be a very good Javon Holland replacement. I've mocked it a ton, and I think that should stay the norm. I've seen a mock where he falls number 32 to the Eagles. We cannot let that happen. He can't be Brian Branch 2.0. So I love that for Miami getting, I think, good value there at 13. So on the clock here at 14, we have the Indianapolis Colts. I think another team that could look at defense if they want to maybe take Mike Green out of Marshall could be a potential pick here, but I do like them going corner. I think they can also address corner in free agency. I predicted that they are going to end up with Javarius Ward. Maybe they're going to be in the Carlton Davis or DJ Reed sweepstakes as well. But Jahdae Barron, I think, is in play to be the number 2 cornerback drafted here. I think we've reached a point where it's as close as ever that he's going to be the next corner selected after Travis Hunter in this draft. I still like Will Johnson a little bit more, but I think they're going to go very close to each other. I had Will Johnson go to the Cowboys at number 12. We're going to have Jahdae Barron go number 14 to the Indianapolis Colts. I don't think that they're going to end up with Tyler Warren anymore. Yeah, I got Warren going number 7 to the New York Jets. So we're on the clock here at 15 for the Falcons. We know they're going defense. I really like the idea of Nick Emmanwori here, but I think there are some better players, at least value-wise, on the board. And I think that's going to be Jahad Campbell from Alabama. He is a freak from sideline to sideline. And this is exactly what the Falcons need to just try to get maybe that quarterback on the defensive side of the field, somebody that could just make plays all over the field for you. And they just got to start building this defense up. Honestly, their first 3-round picks in this draft should be all defense. No questions asked. So we're on the clock here at 16 for the Arizona Cardinals. I think a team, Ashton Jeanty to Arizona. Could that happen? They did just re-sign James Conner, so that probably isn't the smartest thing. Could they be a shocker wide receiver team? They drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. in the top 10 last year at number 4. I know they like Michael Wilson. They have Trey McBride. You would now get another weapon there. Matthew Golden, how quick he is and how sure the hands are, that's a possibility. But I think I like them going offensive line to protect Kyler Murray. I've mocked Kenneth Grant a ton. I don't know how I feel about Kenneth Grant going this high. I don't love him to go I think this high anymore after just diving into the film a little bit more. I think he benefited a ton playing with Mason Graham. He doesn't really have that caliber player next to him right now at Arizona. So we are going to have them go offensive line, and I'm going to have them go Kelvin Banks out of Texas. You can also look at Josh Simmons here, and he is listed. Yeah, Gray Zabel, combine standout as well. But I like them taking Kelvin Banks. Maybe there's a chance you got to bump him inside to a guard spot, but that's also a position of need for the Cardinals. But we're just taking offensive line right now. As much as I would also like to protect Joe Burrow, and how much fun would T. Higgins, who just got tagged, we'll see if they can figure out a contract. Jamar Chase, who also needs a new contract. Joe Burrow and Ashton Jeanty would be over there in Cincy. Maybe if they traded T, there could be a potential pick here for a wide receiver, but I'm going to have them go defense, and there's 2 guys in mind, Kenneth Grant from Michigan or Mike Green from Marshall. I like Mike Green a ton, but I think I'm going to have them go Kenneth Grant, a little bit more need over best player available. I like Mike Green more than him. And there's Derek Harmon, I think, is very close to Kenneth Grant. I actually think I like Derek Harmon a little bit more. So maybe that's the pick there instead of Kenneth Grant. Maybe it's Derek Harmon, but I think they would go Grant over Harmon. 18, Seattle, we have to address the offensive line. John Schneider said last year, I believe at the combine, the guards don't really matter. And we saw this year that guards kind of matter for the Seattle Seahawks, as they had some of the worst interior offensive line play in the NFL. Maybe they like Josh Simmons, but I've mocked Tyler Booker to them a ton. Maybe they would love for Kelvin Banks to fall. And hey, there's definitely a possibility. I think we're knowing that at least Membu and Will Campbell are going in the top 11, but I think you could still get Tyler Booker there at 18 for sure. So we're going to have Booker go to the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe they trade down, try to maybe get a day or a 3rd round pick, and you can now draft multiple offensive linemen in this class. So we're on the clock here, 19 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to have them select Mike Green from Marshall, the next best edge rusher on the board. I think could end up going a little bit higher. Who knows? Maybe Mike Green's in play if he has a good workout with the Panthers. Maybe he ends up going to the Saints or the Bears, but I'm going to have him go here, falling a little bit to the Bucks at 19. Plenty of good talent on the board. We may have a run on corners in these next couple of picks. I think Benjamin Morrison's probably fallen out of the first round. Trey Amos, Maxwell Harrison, Siobhan Ravel, and Darian Porter could also go in the first round, and we're going to talk about them a ton as well. So we're going to have them select Mike Green here. Shout out Marshall, man, getting a pick here at 19. So the way that this mock has fallen, we haven't had Ashton Jeanty go, because, man, if he doesn't go number 12, you have Devon Achane, you have Jonathan Taylor, you have Brian Robinson. I don't think the Cardinals would take one. I don't think the Bengals, definitely not the Seahawks, and you got Bucky Irving in Tampa. I think there's a chance if Ashton Jeanty does fall and these teams are realizing that it's a deep running back class and we can get a stud maybe on day 2 in round 2 or round 3, we don't need to take Ashton Jeanty that high. Ashton Jeanty, I think, could go as high as 6. He could go to the Las Vegas Raiders if they don't like Shedeur, or if Shedeur goes ahead of them. Maybe he ends up going to the Saints at 9. Who knows? And he ends up replacing Alvin Kamara. But I think Chicago would be so much fun with Ben Johnson, Dallas. And then if not, I think he would fall to pick 20 to the Denver Broncos. Javonte Williams is a free agent. He is miles better than Jaleel McLaughlin or Estime over there in Denver. And you get one of the best value players in this draft at number 20. And I know it's not a big time wide receiver. I know it's no Colston Loveland or any type of receiver here at number 20. But I think this is a little bit better for Broncos fans, and you get Ashton Jeanty. So we're on the clock here with the Steelers at 21. We got to go receiver. I think there's also play for corner here, but Matthew Golden or Luther Burden could be in play for the Steelers at 21. I'm actually going to have them select Matthew Golden as the second receiver off the board. One of the fastest, if not the fastest receiver in this draft. Also has sure hands, a great route runner. Like, he's not just a deep threat fast guy. He also is going to have great hands and, like I said, just a great route runner, and was the best receiver at Texas last year. A lot better than Isaiah Bond, who still, like, I think I was a little harsh on him in my winners and losers video, and I think Bond will still maybe be like a round 3 pick. Same with Ted Johnson. So we're on the clock here at 22 with the Chargers. We're going to reunite Colston Loveland with his former college coach and Jim Harbaugh. Massive upgrade over Will Dissly. I mean, this is a great draft for the Chargers. Maybe they end up going a Marion Hampton, who I think is going to be a first-round pick out of UNC. Maybe they end up taking a Luther Burden or a Emeka Egbuka, but I think Colston Loveland makes a ton of sense for the Chargers there at 22, and that means we're going to have Luther Burden go to the Packers at 23. If these guys don't go a little bit higher, like, I'm sure these teams that want a receiver, like the Broncos, Steelers, Chargers, and Packers, really hope that Tet doesn't go 4, because I think the odds of Tet going 5 are pretty low. Same with 6. Maybe he ends up going 7, but who knows? If Tet does fall to pick 9, I can't see the Bears, the Niners taking a receiver. Maybe Tet or like a receiver would end up going number 12, and this could affect this a little bit. And hey, maybe Seattle ends up taking a receiver if they're going to trade away DK Metcalf, or maybe Cincinnati surprises people and take a receiver. If Tampa Bay loses Chris Godwin, maybe they take a receiver as well, but I can't see Golden, Loveland, or Burden making it past 23 in this draft no matter what. So we're on the clock here at 24 with the Minnesota Vikings. And I always thought that a Marion Hampton would be a good fit, but also you can maybe get a stud in round number 2. So I'm going to have them go corner because they have so many cornerback free agents right now. And we're going to have them take Trey Amos. I really like Maxwell Harrison also for this team, but they need to address corner. Maybe they end up signing one if they don't bring back Sam Darnold. Maybe they go after one of the big name corners in free agency. But either way, yeah, we're going to have Amos go there at 24. And we're on the clock here at 25. I would love to protect CJ Stroud. Maybe they look at Walter Nolan or they look at Derek Harmon. I'm going to have them go receiver. It's not a good wide receiver free agency class. Maybe they end up making a trade. But if Emeka Egbuka is on the board, let's reunite Stroud with his wide receiver partner over there at Ohio State back in 2022, where Emeka had the best year of his collegiate career playing with CJ Stroud. Tank Dell's going to be out for a little bit. Now you got Nico and Egbuka. That could be something over there. So we're on the clock here at 26 with the LA Rams, a team that could also look at linebacker if they ended up wanting to go the Jalen Walker route. He's still on the board. I like corner for them, just adding to that secondary, making it a little bit better. But they do have, I mean, you have Cam Kitchens. You do have Cameron Curl. Do I like the idea of Nick Emenwari there? I kind of do. You can play him all over the field. Yeah, let's have Nick Emenwari go there, 26 to the LA Rams. I'd also like him go to my Steelers at 21. The Steelers have a ton of needs. We're on the clock here with the Ravens at 27. I don't think there's a good enough receiver to go in the first round right now. They may lose Ronnie Stanley in free agency. So I think you can also look to take Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, and we are going to do that for this team. I think if you're looking maybe the post-Kyle Van Noy era, you could look at Malik Williams, or if Tyler Stevens isn't back, you could also look at a corner there at 27. We're on the clock here at 28 with the Detroit Lions. I think they could be a Jalen Walker pick as well. Have him and Jack Campbell out there. Could be really good for this team going forward. Maybe they end up liking one of the interior guys. Maybe they end up liking one of the offensive tackles. But I think Jalen Walker should still be a first-round pick. So we got 4 picks left. We have the Commanders, we have the Bills, we have the Chiefs, and we have the Eagles. I think the Commanders should look to add a corner. They just traded for Deebo Samuel, so they don't really need receiver as much anymore. With Josh Simmons off the board, maybe you end up taking Malik Williams, but I think Maxwell Harrison, what he ran at the combine, he's going to end up being a first-round pick, and I really like that for them. Also, the Bills at number 30, I think they could look to take a corner as well. I also thought about a Marion Hampton to the Commanders there at 29, because I got to have them in the first round. I do. So we got the Bills there at 30. I mean, if James Cook is traded, Hampton on the board is kind of insane for this team right now. I also like corner, like Siobhan Ravel, Darian Porter could be in play, but I think Walter Nolan or Derek Harmon should be first-round picks, and I like Harmon a little bit more than Nolan. I think Harmon is the second best interior defensive lineman in this draft after Mason Graham. Chiefs at 31, it's probably dumb to give them a Marion Hampton, right? Like, I mean, they did bring back Trey Smith. I don't know if they would take Grace Sable or Josh Connerly. Maybe they would, but man, I just don't trust Isaiah Pacheco. He looks so bad coming off the injury. Maybe he's going to be fine next year, but you had to rely a ton on Kareem Hunt. I'm staring at Marion Hampton. I really thought I was going to have Hampton go in the first round. I just can't see the Chiefs pulling that off. Maybe they end up taking a Walter Nolan, but I got to address offensive line, and I think Gray is able to kind of emerge as a first-round pick in this draft. So we're on the clock here with the Eagles at 32. They may lose Josh Sweat in free agency. I think in my last mock, I had them getting Jalen Walker. I'm just going to be lazy a little bit and give them another Georgia guy. Michael Williams there at number 32. If they lose Sweat, maybe they lose Milton Williams. They can look to address that pass rush. And yeah, that is my post-combine 2025 NFL mock draft. I think it's going to be very fascinating to see what changes in free agency. And I mentioned it a couple times in this video. Could Shedeur fall? Could Tet fall? Could Will Johnson fall? Could Ashton Jeanty fall? This is the lowest I've ever mocked Ashton Jeanty, number 20 to the Denver Broncos. I think there is a way that Marion Hampton would go in the first round. He could definitely be in play for, who knows, maybe the Steelers at 21 with Najee being a free agent. Chargers at 22 would make a ton of sense. The Vikings at 24, we'll see if they want to bring back Aaron Jones. I think at 29, just being a playmaker for the Commanders, I think Hampton would end up in the first round in most mocks. You can let me know what you agree with or disagree with. Did you like the pick I made for your favorite team? Let me know down below. Hit that thumbs up if you guys did enjoy, and subscribe for all NFL draft content leading up to the 2025 NFL draft, and also free agency content as well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.